Hello, everybody. It's me, Dale, and I want to talk to you today a little bit about automotive air conditioning and my 8-year quest to learn a little bit about what's going on in there. Have you ever seen those cans in the store that have a tube and a gauge on the top of them and think, "Oh, cool, I can fix my own AC now." Well, hold on. There's a good chance that you could do a lot more harm than good. Ask me how I know. There's a lot going on in there. Just to talk a little bit about automotive air conditioning, everything starts with a compressor, and that compressor is what's running by the belt there in the engine bay, and it compresses that freon that's in there, and that's what you're buying in the cans. Compresses it down, and when it compresses it, it makes it very hot, and from there it goes into a condenser. That's the radiator looking thing on the front of the car, and that takes the heat out of it, and it also lets it compress some more and make sure that it's in a liquid state. And from there it goes through a dryer, and the dryers to get any water vapor that might be in there out of there. Hopefully there isn't any, because there isn't a lot of capacity to those dryers, and if there is, they're going to go kaput pretty quick if there's water vapor in there. But from there it heads for the evaporator, and the evaporator is another little radiator looking thing inside the passenger compartment, hidden where you can't see it, and that's where the magic happens. As the freon passes through that, it expands, and it makes a lot of cold, and that's where you get the nice cold air into the passenger compartment. But to go through that thing, it has to go through a little orifice, and that orifice is either a valve or it's a fixed orifice, depending upon which kind of system that you have. And that controls how fast and how much goes through the evaporator at a time, because too much going through there and it'll freeze that little radiator, and then the system won't work at all. And also it sends a signal to the system, and it says shut off the compressor because we're frozen up here and we can't work anymore. But after it goes through there, then it goes back to the compressor and it starts the cycle all over again. But there's other stuff going on in there too. There's another little control valve on the low side. There is a low side and a high side, and those cans only talk about the low side. They don't tell you anything that's going on the high side, and the high side gets too high because you put too much freon in there. It'll literally destroy your compressor. It'll just destroy itself internally, and the thing won't work at all again. Um, and so you have to be careful about how much freon is in there. And the temperature of the day makes a difference as far as what those gauges should say. There's a big difference between the day being 50 degrees and the day being 100 degrees. That affects how much should be in there. And again, too much and you will destroy the compressor usually. Too little and it just won't make a lot of cold air in there, and you'll think that could be the reason why it's not making cold air, but it could be because the evaporator's frozen, or it could be a number of other things, because there's oil in that in your system too, a very particular oil that one does not get along with water at all. That'll wreck your oil. And the compressor and some of the other components need that oil to lubricate themselves as the whole system is working. But the amount of oil in there is super critical too, because the whole system is actually quite small as far as how much freon is in there. And if there's too much oil, it affects how much freon you can put in there. And if there's too little oil, you'll cook your compressor. It'll just destroy itself trying to run. And that can affect, the little valve that I talked about and some of the other components in the system. So what you really want to do is get one of these guys and learn how to read the gauges, and then you can use the little cans, and not that particularly complicated after you learn it, but watch out for those little cans with the gauges on them. Too many ways to get in trouble. So I hope I shared something good with you tonight. Um, yeah, it's been fun. I'll see you later. Okay, bye.